Well, good morning, fellow creators. Ben here from Cinder Studios. I'm starting this one in my living room because I got some canvas. I probably shouldn't have gotten any of this, but I was trying to bump my recent purchase at Blix up to beyond the free shipping mark, which was like, I think, $75 for the current sale. I'm trying not to spend a ton of extra money. I actually specifically didn't do my regular summer art store trip or art haul or what have you. Because, again, I'm trying not to spend too much, but I had this idea last week, and I needed to get something, and so let's get some other stuff that's been on my list. The other things were black gesso, since I'm almost out. This canvas, since it was on clearance, which I'm just going to tape up and add to the roll I've already got, because I still have a bunch. And little half-pan watercolor pans, empty ones. This is like the only place in the house that's like wide enough and open enough for me to do this. So when you buy a canvas that's open like this and you're not getting, I would say, I'm not getting a ton. It's still a ton. But I send it to you all folded up. And the reason why I do that, I'll get back to the watercolor thing in a minute. The reason why I do that is because of these folds, which I'm sure you guys can see even from there. And so when you get it and it's all folded up, those creases will stay in your stretch if you don't get them out. So you can iron it probably, but I unroll it, or unfurl it I should say, and then roll it. So when I do stretch a canvas, these creases aren't here. So right, the watercolor stuff. So as you guys know, and you've probably seen, if you're one of the long-time fans who's been watching for a while, let me eat my juice too. I've been up for like 20 minutes. I, at some point, started making paint out of chalk pastels. First, it was just a silly, dumb idea, and I'm like, this actually works once I got my paint muller. But anyhow, so leaning up towards the end of the year here, as we're pushing into, what, the last quarter, I guess, I think. September, August, November. Yeah, last quarter. Starting to think about stuff for the online shop at cinderblockstudios.com. So, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to do a limited run of my watercolors and sell them in the shop? So, I'm doing that. If you guys follow my Instagram, I've got several colors. Because the pastels I use are like super cheap student grade stuff, there's no information about what pigments they are, so I kind of had to just make up the color names. So yeah, that set, there'll be 6 sets of 6 available exclusively on my website shop through December. Also, in December, announcing it now, but it doesn't go live yet, obviously, I will have a 15% off coupon code for all the prints and paintings and everything. So if you ever want to get anything, or looking for something for Christmas, for yourself or for somebody else, it's a good way to go, I think. And it's going to be a good time to get some stuff and batch it. And the sale runs through like a week before Christmas, so I'll still have time to get everything out on time, hopefully. It still didn't quite stay center, but it's not terrible. I'll just put it this way so it doesn't get too screwy. And now the canvas rolls back. So yeah, I had to buy all the little watercolor half pan sets. I was looking around for where to get them, because there were some on Amazon, but reading the reviews, they were like, wow, these are terrible. Quality was awful, cheap Chinese knockoffs. But there was like a lot of them, like 75 in a pack or something. 50 maybe, I think about 48. When I was comparing prices, some of the bigger name companies like Winsor & Newton had ones, and they were about $1 per pan. But the ones I found that were best were actually Blick makes them. Just, you know, little plastic ones. It was like 12 in a little baggie for like $7.50, which ends up being a little over $7.50. So it's a roughly 75 cents per thing. I'm like, that's the best deal I can get. So I got 36 of them, and I'm making a whole bunch of pans. So first thing I'm doing this, well, this was the first thing I did today. Clean the box and stuff up, and then I'm going to go work on making some paint this morning. Okay, so updates on current projects. Last time you guys saw me working on this. Made some decent progress last time, but I gotta be honest, I kind of hate it.
Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort. It's like a visceral reaction of discontent coming from this area. This area is not good either. I hate this, but I'm mainly worried about this.
I'm going to set it aside for a while. Maybe finish it at some point, but I got to be honest, I'm not feeling it the way I was when I first started, which means it's probably going to get sanded down and painted over. What I did last week was to work on a new piece that I started in oil, which I think should be mostly dry by now, which is good. Set it in the corner, yet it still collected some weird particles. So this is another one of those splattery ones. Oh, hello. Which I'm really happy with this so far. But before I do that, obviously, I gotta work on paint. Yeah, so I've got two of the colors done now, the red and the yellow. The rest of today, I did two the other night. Now I also have it's burning red, golden ochre, ultra turquoise, unlimited earth, jade green, and crime of fashion. And that'll be the set of six sets of six, as I said before. Go in these little Blick half pans, which are really reasonably priced. And first going on sale in December. So I'm just going to go ahead and work on these because I really want to make some paint.
Much later.
Morning, fellow creators. Ben here from Cinder Studios. Got to get this vlog recorded and uploaded
sometime today, or tomorrow really, but I recorded a little bit last week. I'm not really sure all of what I said in that. I think it was mostly about the piece I'm not going to finish. So, I pretty much just have the morning to work today. Because it's finally dry and cool enough, and it's going to be nice both days this weekend, I can finally do a big outside project around my house that I've been needing to do for the entire year. So I'm going to do a little bit of studio work this morning, do this vlog, obviously, and then pretty much go straight into that, and I likely will be doing that for the next 8 hours, so at least. I'm actually a little more excited to do that than paint, but I am also very excited to paint. I got an idea for a new piece this week that I didn't even sketch out. The idea is like really clear in my head. And I might actually get my easel out because I want to do more loose brush work and stuff with more with thinner paint. So I'm probably going to be primarily using my high flows. So I'm going to want white in the Titan buff and then some yellows. So I'm going to go Hansa yellow medium. And I want it to transition from a very pale yellow in the background, really light, and go darker as we go forward. Probably like towers and city-esque kind of buildings, but again, like really loose and drippy even. Probably not drippy, but loose. Anyhow, inks as well. I almost never use my inks anymore. I got a Prussian blue, a sap green, permanent, and a muted green, so those would be good. I might use up a bottle of ink, which I haven't not done in a very long time. Alright, so I think I'll start with those. Grab an easel. I gotta scrape some palettes, that's first and foremost, though. So, I was getting out the big easel when I remembered I had this little tabletop one that I got from my mom years ago. And I don't think I've used this, at least not in a video, for probably 10 years. Completely forgot I kind of had it. Well, I didn't forget. It's been in the corner. I haven't had a real reason for it. But I was like, oh, I wonder if this canvas would fit on here. Hey, it did. Now, this will slide around a little bit, since there's no real, like, wait a minute, rubber feet. I've got rubber feet. Hold on. The point is, these are a little larger than the feet for these, but I should be able to drop these in here and keep them sliding around. Which is awesome. That's why you save stuff like that. Anyhow, I don't know why I got 4 out. I only needed 3. I have a clear idea of what I want to do, but it's still vague in terms of like the details. I just kind of have like the big shapes and the colors and the lighting kind of squared away. Blick Mega Brush, the round one. This is a number 40 Blick Mega Brush, which normally came to a point. I actually shaved the top of that down because mostly for like clouds and stuff, so I can keep it. Because when a lot of rounds, when you use them when they're still, this is like a brand new one, and it's a Utrecht brush, but whatever. But it comes to a point, which is really nice for detail work, but a lot of times when especially when you buy a big round brush, actually come to think, I do have a bigger round brush, my oil one. This one, that I use for oils. So same thing. So you brand new round brush, but it's going to take a long time before it would get to this point naturally. So sometimes it's actually worth doing this and then just shaving the top off. I should have a video about that now, because I started doing it a little bit, especially with my brushes that are starting to splay out on the side, stuff like this, that are really kind of off on that side. And you can take a pair. Sorry, that was probably really loud. The whole mic system fell off. You can take a pair of scissors and cut it, but I actually got into the habit of using my electric razor for when I buzz my beard and my head down. And because I had this thought one day, and I was like, it's hair, why not? So I just went with it, and I'm like, that worked perfectly. I'm actually working a little faster than for my own good at this point. I made this green color, but it ended up being a little too bright, and because it's mixing in with the background, I decided to kind of just blur that out and not put a ton of it in. Then I came a little darker with more of the pure stuff. Was trying to get the good ink splatter thing, which doesn't really work on canvas, which I know, but I still did it anyway. Fanned it out a little bit with the fan brush. Not really the intention to do a more natural layer in the midst of something that's going to feel a little more industrial. Although my strokes are going to feel natural anyway, because I'm not good with those rigid lines. I'd prefer my industrial stuff to still look more natural. So because that layer wasn't dark enough and wasn't sort of grungy and greeny enough, it's plenty green, don't get me wrong, but it's too much of like a spring green kind of green. So the next layer is going to have to definitely lean bluer, primarily the Prussian blue ink, because I kind of darted some shadows in there for that. I'm going to have some pillars here in the front and block out a little bit more of this on the edges. Nice crossing ropes and stuff like that. Fairly comfort zone level stuff for me. I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, I haven't had a piece that I've worked on, especially on canvas in a while. I've been doing a lot of like oil stuff and unusual stuff and stuff that's kind of out of my wheelhouse for the most normal canvas work. And I'm like, I need a comfort zone piece, something that I know I can do without a ton of effort and it still looks really good. So with all the stuff that I've been doing, at least I would say in the past 3 or 4 months, I'm like, I need a piece that's closer to what most people know from me. So that's kind of what this piece is. Although I'm allowing myself, again, easel, stepping back, you're seeing me hold way back on the brush for keeping those loose lines. Because I still want it to be a little different, still need to try some new things, or at least not necessarily new things, but things I don't do as often. So trying to keep things at least a little bit more expressive, at least for our initial few layers. My final layer, like every time, I'll sit with my liner and just go to town with. But yeah, I really have to let this dry at this point because it's going to be, I think my yellow is pretty close. I don't want to rip that up because if I come in with another thin layer at this point, I'm just going to rip that paint right off. But yeah, we're actually, just in the time it took me to wash my brushes and talk to you a little bit here, I think it's starting to dry, which is good. I do want to, by the time I hit the really close layers, the real dark ones, I'm probably going to be just like a slightly mixed up black with some other stuff in it. It'll have to be real thick. I'll have to actually get out the heavy body for that. But for the next layer, as well as, or at least for the buildings and stuff for here, I would say another three big layers. So it would be the bluer layer, and then, actually even this bluer layer, probably not even going to be close to the Prussian. I want to mix, I'm thinking the Prussian with the nickel Easel gold, have it more of a neutral brown, chromatic gray, if you will. And that way, the contrast is a lot higher. So by the time I'm putting that final black layer on, that stands out just because it will literally be the darkest layer being black. And I'll try to use that a lot more sparingly. And of course some cross ropes and stuff like that. Maybe some, little lanterns thrown in there as well. I love doing the Chinese paper lanterns and stuff. They're really fun. And with that, I was starting to dab in some white here as well, like maybe as like lights, like maybe either like bioluminescence or even just like artificial lights that were built into the organic structures. But that's all detail stuff for later. And then once I get those dark layers in, I actually really like the idea of doing those lanterns now. Then I can kind of paint back into them and give them that little bit of a glow, that orangish red glow from the flames. Oh man, I'm liking this. Okay, I should be able to get back into this pretty soon here. Yeah, that's starting to tack up, at least, yeah. Okay, it's still wet down in here. And I was coming in, you saw with the knife, just because I was like, I got to just scrape some of this off. Because I know where I'm blocking those shapes out anyway. Yeah, it's fun. Again, fun thing for me. I'm not doing this based off a sketch. I never made a sketch. Everything's just really clear in my head since I just came up with this idea like 2 days ago. Every now and then, I'll do a piece like that. I much prefer to have a sketch and to hammer out all the details first, but sometimes I just need a piece that's a lot more freer, and I don't have to think. And I'm jamming to some old music right now I haven't listened to in a while. If you guys noticed any times I was hitting the drums in the time lapse, that's what's going on. Yeah, I'm just in a great mood today. I'm really happy to be working on this, and I've needed one of these 15 by 30s for a while, at least one of these projects. Also, side note, my art manager really likes the vertical stuff, and he's like, not a lot of people do long vertical stuff, and so like the 2 or 3 that I have there, he'll never give back to me. He like always wants them. He's like, they're great for the weird in between places, and it's like, yeah, it's like he just loves that vertical format, especially for a lot of my work since I'm like his favorite artist. So anyway, all that said, we're pretty dry. I'm gonna mix up some new batches of paint. Probably put some of these brighter colors back that I don't need, at least for now. And yeah, get my music back going. running into this little bit of a problem, well, problem, quote unquote, because I think it actually works well for this piece. So, happy accident maybe. The Liquitex inks, compared to the Golden High Flows, don't have any kind of wetting agent in them. And so they bead and they pull up on the canvas a lot more than the High Flows will. Also, because I did that an oil buff layer to start, I'm getting a little bit more resist than I thought I was getting, at least earlier. So I have a little bit more blooming on my edges than I really wanted to. Well, actually, the wetting agent for the High Flows that's in the High Flows could also be causing that as well. But because this isn't my foremost layer, I actually like that little bit of a blur effect that it has. It is forcing me to go over some of my lines a bit, and it's making the paint a little bit more transparent in some areas, but because I can then go over that paint again, it actually has created a little bit more depth to this layer than I originally intended it to have, which is good. So, I can't remember which side was supposed to be wider than the other one, but I just kind of went with how it felt at the time here. Got some signs in there, some roof tents and things. I feel pretty good about this, actually. And these pillars are the biggest culprit for this bloom effect, and those I do need to be a little bit cleaner. But they're not terrible. So I'm also almost out of paint here, so I kind of have to be as done as I can. Swapped for this flat brush I picked up a little while ago, maybe about a month or so. I was wandering around Michael's, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could use a new one of these. So I'm still able to get the lines that I need to, but because it's a flat brush, I'm able to get more angular stuff to where the round brush was more loose. So I think this works out pretty well. Also, at some point, I threw some drips on there by mistake, so I'm like, let's make them those lines and those lines, those ropes and chains. Sorry, that always makes me really nervous to have to go over one of those lines again, because those are one-stroke deals. I'm gonna throw a couple blips in here for lanterns. Okay. Also, at some point you saw me bring it off the easel because as I was painting this initial corner, all of that dripped, and I'm like, so I was like immediately like, well, now that changes what I wanted to do with the composition a little bit there, but you know, just fill it out. And again, a lot of this will probably be covered up by that black layer again anyway, so not a huge deal. But the black, or rather almost black layer, is going to have to be thicker at this point. I absolutely have to, both compositionally for the piece, and just practically for the sake of everything is loose, and I really need something thicker to build up that paint layer to, one, pop out of the canvas, and two, not have this issue with things running all over the place. I'm going to thin this out just a little more and get some foreground complexity here with this layer. Not enough to kill the shadows, but enough to offset things from the last layer. And then I'm probably going to have to hold off for a while and go back to that other piece and finish my orange juice, since I think I still have like a half of a glass of it floating around here somewhere. Yeah, it's over there. Yeah, there's only a couple of spots here, and here that I can still see that underlying brown with, so those for sure will have to get covered up. Yeah, I definitely want to do, actually, you know what? I want to make this a little bit wider on top. More of a windowsill there or something. Okay, so because this side's leaning more industrial and this side's leaning more residential, I'm going to flip-flop that for the next layer. So I'll probably be a few more tents coming in over top to offset with the big block here. So like a couple of tents this way, a couple of excuse me, a couple of signs probably down in here. Probably excuse me. Actually want to do some nice neon glowy signs in here. So I'll have to have a look into some possibly some kanji characters or something, even though I know I'm mixing Chinese lanterns and Japanese kanji, but whatever. Or even maybe like a Southeast Asian, so something like Thai. I'd have to look up some of those symbols. But that's probably tomorrow's stuff, because I want to do at least all of my silhouette stuff today, and then I can just play with details and lighting and stuff tomorrow. But yeah, this is turning out to be a really fun one, and it's always pieces like this that I really enjoy making. That usually at this point in time I look at it and go, this one's gonna sell really fast. Like I can just tell. I'm like, this one's gonna be like, yep, someone's gonna snatch this up immediately. Which sucks because I really like it. All right, I'm gonna give this a couple minutes to dry, wipe off my palette, clean my brush and water again, and then mix up some kind of a dark. Okay, so surprisingly, it's only about 10. I think I got down here like at 7:30, quarter to 8. So I've been still like 2.5 or almost 3 hours now, but a little after 10. So I'm feeling pretty good now. I've got that, upper layer in. Actually, I have a secondary layer that's not quite black, but is still darker than this. I do kind of want to see how that looks over top of it. Maybe I don't think you can tell. I think it's too close to that one. Yeah, it's definitely too close to that one. All right. Actually, I bet this last layer would work with a knife because it would allow me to get those shapes, especially for the signs. I mean, the ropes I'd still have to do with a brush, but that would actually work really well. I want to drop my figures in with this color anyhow, as long as I'm here, because that's sort of the layer I want them on, and they're that right color. Ended up with very much like I mostly mixed like yellow and black for this, to get that sort of a greenish color. It's funny, it's a lot more matte than the rest of the blue in the backdrop, but that's the nature of certain colors. So yeah, I feel good about this. I'm actually gonna make sure that's dry on my hand. Put a few little indications of figures in on the platforms as well to breathe a little more life into this piece. But yeah, so I'll put 2-3 figures at the bottom like I normally do, and then my upper layer. We do a little bit of foreground elements coming up beyond the bottom of the canvas, but other than that, I'm going to try to be a little more sparing with it. And when that's done, I can actually go ahead and at least call it a day on this piece. I do want to go back to St. Elmo's Fire and hopefully finish that one up, because I did some black gesso overlay, and I'm going to come in with acrylic on top of that to give myself the other layers of detail in it. And that piece, because of the way I did the lighting in that, I shouldn't need to do a whole hell of a lot to it. So that's good. Yeah, and this was a really nice piece to throw in the mix, just with all the, I said that before, with all the other weird experimental stuff I was doing. And he really, really, really needed a piece like this for my own mental clarity. And one I can definitely just throw together in a couple hours. All right, so let me get the figures in here. Also, I realize my mic's probably rubbing against my shirt. Sorry about that. I'll try to avoid it. It's between that and if I put it too close to my close to my collar. I've learned this actually very recently, which it took me like a year and almost 2 years to learn this. But that's what causes the popping, which occasionally I do my best. If it's really bad, I'll just try and reshoot the whole video if I can. But it'll just like it'll flutter and I'll cut out, and it's usually because one, I'm talking with my hands a bunch, and the mic itself is moving around. And if it moves around and rubs into my shirt, it cuts out. So actually, in a lot of videos, I've been trying to keep my hands more still to avoid that, especially the educational videos that are longer. The vlogs, honestly, I don't care as much about in terms of making them seem polished. And if there's a whole segment where it's really poppy, then I'll just completely cut that whole segment out of the vlog so I don't have to deal with it. But yeah. So I don't even have a title for this piece, actually. Normally, before I even start anything on Canvas, because I would have had the sketch, I would have also have a title for it. So I don't even know what the hell I'm going to call this one. If you guys have any ideas, let me know in comments. But to be fair, I probably won't use any of your ideas either. So you never know. But if I do happen to like your comment enough, I'll highlight it in make it like a favorite featured comment or whatever that thing is, and then I'll call it that. Okay, figures are dropped in. I still might go over them with the pure black later, since they're not popping out as much as I want. But that looks pretty good. Primarily with the upper layer black, I'm gonna do what I always kind of do, is find a place for my signature on the right side, so I'll probably end up building some other shapes in here or something. Actually, oh, wait a minute. What if I make the upper black layer bushes or trees and really do it last? Like do all my signage and my detail stuff and then do that over top? I actually like that idea. In which case I would have to stop now, because then I won't be able to do all the signage and then cover that up strategically if I do that. So yeah, I think I like that. I think I'm gonna do the glowing neon signs. I decided to make the lower levels for my ropes to have blankets on them. And then we'll do the lanterns in the back. And then glowy with the neon signs. That would be the neon signs will be the only thing lighting anything of the surrounding silhouette. I don't want to go in and try to light the silhouette to the backlight source. One, because it's backlight and it would create the silhouette anyway. But also because I want those signs to stand out more and to give that idea that they are those sort of shining beacons in that dark, dingy city life. So yeah, I'll do that. I'll let this dry. I'll play with the signage and stuff tomorrow, and then I'll come back in probably, I want to say like corners and maybe a little bit leaning in on one side or the other, and then maybe a little bit up top or something, but probably not. Probably just the lower sides, and just like basically this guy, the bigger brush that I was using to the start, like this, or something similar like I have that's this size, to just tap in with that brush with some pure black to really kind of amp that up and give it that, like, it's tempting too, because 2 layers back from here we did that green layer, which was more natural, so having that other natural layer on top of that I think will create a good balance for the piece. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking, switch the pieces, get St. Elmo's fire back on my table, see if I can salvage some of this paint to use in that one. If not, I mixed up way too much freaking paint, so that'll be going into the jars. And then by the time I do that, that should get me pretty close to about 11:30, I think, because that should give me about another hour's worth of stuff to do. And then it's going to be quick bite to eat, and then edit this video and go out and work outside. So I think that's where we're gonna sit here for the rest of the day. I just want to show you guys this because this is stupid. The brush I was using, that shorter flat brush, this is what it did after I rinsed it. After one use, it was a brand new brush. I used it once, it did this. This is why you don't buy cheap brushes. Because of shit like this. I'm sure once it dries, it'll be fine. But I pulled this out of the water and I'm like, what the? Huh? Okay, back to this guy. I'm actually just going to grab my little my shader, I think, is probably the way to go for this. And I'm just going to, I'm probably going to use that black and then a little bit of, I want to mix, use Titan Buff and some Dialeride Yellow, since that's good. The Dialeride's the closest thing I've got in acrylic to what I did with the sun color. So that with some of the greenish black I've got, just to bring a little life into the rocks. I'll hide a figure in here somewhere, and then come to think of it, I'll have to kind of hide my signature in here somewhere too, since I don't really have that corner. It's up and over more. So yeah, nice simple little bit of extra paint to do. So see, this is fun. So I got the big swathy brush strokes out of the way for that other piece, so now I actually have the concentration to sit down and do the detail work on this piece, which is why I'm usually working on more than one piece at once. Okay, I can officially call this one done, and I'm going to go ahead and call it a vlog here. So I didn't do a ton to this. I just, put my acrylic in, dropped in the base coat, highlighted it, threw in the shadows, same stuff I always do. This is not going to work with this backlight. Wait a minute, hold on. I might be able to turn on the other thing. Yep, there we go. That might work. Okay, that sort of worked. Nope, still got glare. Glare, glare, glare. Just move the whole damn camera. I don't know what I'm thinking. Okay, there we go. Now you can see it. So yeah, that light thing's all stuff with the sun across. Relatively dark, just kept with the dark clouds. I really like sort of that deep, shadowy, storming cloud thing. And then that little green glow on the horizon. Like that, on a big long piece. How long is this thing? I don't know, I didn't measure it. It's long. It's got to be like, I think it's 6 by 36 maybe? But yeah. So this is the newest one in the Splattery series. This is, I think, the fourth one. Well, not counting the test one, I think it's 3. The weird test one on a piece of particle board I did back in like February or whatever that was. So yeah, hopefully by the end of, I'm going to turn this off now. Hopefully by the end, oh yeah, there's a blue on my face. Found it. By the end of the year, I will have at least enough of these to do a small show at the gallery, just with these. I really like this one. This might be my favorite one of these so far. So if you guys enjoyed this this studio vlog, be sure to hit the like button. Get subscribed if you're not already. Check me out. Let me know your thoughts. All that fun stuff. I'm gonna get this cut together. You know what? I really want to get out and work on the wall, so I'm probably gonna clean my hands and just immediately go straight into that. Or I'll worry about throwing this video up sometime tomorrow. And plus I still have to find a song to use for all the time lapse. That's going to take some time anyway. So yeah, we'll do that. You guys will be seeing this tomorrow, which is the day it goes up, which will be yesterday from the time that I'm recording all this mess. So yeah, good studio day for sure.